ஹாரிஸ் ஜெயராஜ் இசையில் ஜேடி ஜெரி இயக்கத்தில் தி லெஜெண்ட் சரவணன் நடிக்கும் தி லெஜெண்ட் திரைப்படம் ஜூலை 28 முதல் உங்கள் அபிமான திரையரங்குகளில் காண தவறாதீர்கள்.
On the Sri Lankan crisis, I think it's more well. Tamil Nadu, everybody knows about the Sri Lankan crisis on different angles and different views. But basically, from Sri Lanka, when you see this crisis it's a good example not only for Sri Lanka, for other nations of mismanagement. Is, you can say, it's one of the mismanagement of the government administration. You can say is one of the main key reason in this. If you see, you can see the நிறைய பேர் சொல்றாங்க in the last 2 years இதுல தான் அந்த மாதிரி எஃபெக்ட் ஆச்சு. It's not like that. The loans which have been borrowed, if you see, it's not in the last 2 years. Yeah, they have borrowed, but அதுக்கு maybe 10-15 years வந்து repeated borrowal of loans on high interest and repayment பண்ண முடியுமாங்கிற ஒரு calculation, proper auditing இல்ல. They to do different projects for the country development, but அதுல இருந்து revenue generate ஆகுமான்னு கூட they have not calculated in many of the projects. They have just gone on getting loan. So this loan started building. End of the day, the amount of loan which was being borrowed by Sri Lanka, the repayment வந்து அந்த source development they never did. In the projects there was repayment ஒரு scheme மாதிரி இல்லைன்னா revenue generation இருந்திருந்தா, I think they would have balanced it off. They never worked it that way. They got loans for development of countries and various projects, but the repayment was based on the tourism of the country and the export of tea, rubber, garments. இதுல இருந்து வர்ற ரெவன்யூ பேஸ் பண்ணி தான் லோன் ரீபேமெண்ட் கால்குலேட் பண்ணிட்டே வந்திருக்காங்க தவிர, நாட் அந்த லோன் வாங்கி அந்த ப்ராஜெக்ட்ல இருந்து வர்ற டெவலப்மெண்ட் வச்சு ரீபே பண்ற மாதிரி மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் த ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ் வர் நாட் டன். So that was one reason where Sri Lanka got stuck when there was a COVID. When there was a COVID, what has happened was the entire tourism industry collapsed in Sri Lanka. அது மட்டும் இல்லாம the export industry also, logistics எல்லா கண்ட்ரிலையும் got affected. Logistics also, export also delayed. மூணாவது, there are 3 sources of revenue where we get dollars into Sri Lanka. ஒன்னு, we get it through the like what I said, the import and export through tea, rubber and all that, garments. Second, we get it through the tourism, and third, we get it through the foreign employment. Sri Lankans living overseas where they send foreign employees. The மூணு தான் source of dollars. During this COVID வந்து இது மூணுமே got affected. But export tea and rubber were repeatedly going. But அதையுமே president, our former president, he took a very harsh decision by banning fertilizers. So I was the first to raise objection, saying that you have to, even if you're going to ban, you have to go by phase. Over a night you can't totally stop this fertilizer, where we will have a total production drop. So we raised, as the political party, we raised with him, but he was not in a position to understand the gravity of the issue. Whenever we explained, he was not in a position. For that, there are several reasons for that. So so when that also got, so the total revenue of dollars coming into country became a standstill. When it became the standstill, the repayment of the loans started becoming a standstill. In spite of that, Sri Lanka wanted to honor the loans இருக்கிற ரிசர்வ்ல இருந்து. when this government took over, there was 7.5 billion USD. So அதை அப்படியே பே பண்ணி ரெவன்யூ ஜெனரேஷன் இல்லாம they completed the money. So when they completed the money, Sri Lanka is not a self-productive country. So they basically, you take fuel, we buy from another country, 70 to 80% of everything is being imported into Sri Lanka. Even agriculture products are being imported into Sri Lanka. Even vehicle, whatever manufacturing things are being imported to Sri Lanka. So in the dollar எல்லாமே loan pay பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சோடனே, we didn't have dollars to do that. The revolving process to the dollars were not there. Then Sri Lanka had to go in a sudden standstill crisis. But if the president or the administrative team had understood the gravity of this issue, I don't think in the last moment or anything they would have pulled it like this. I feel that Sri Lanka has worked with a lot of presidents before, and I think in future also Sri Lanka will work with நிறைய presidents ஓட work பண்ணுவாங்க. There was a small issue with because they have not run a proper calculation about after COVID what is the country reserve, what is the reserve dollars for the basic requirement of the living, and what is the expenses required. And the calculation, I'm really confused. How did such a big government institution, the Treasury Finance Ministry, took over the financial part in the days. It was really, when everything came to a standstill, only everybody knew that they have not maintained it the proper way how they should do it. And second, at this during crisis time, Sri Lanka has been always friendly with most of the nations in the world. But it is very shocking that except India, nobody came out to help Sri Lanka in humanitarian grounds. And only India stood with Sri Lanka during the crisis and on a humanitarian grounds. More than 3.5 billion USD they have given on line of credit, as well as from the people of Tamil Nadu has also through the Tamil Nadu government and Tamil Nadu Chief Minister have also donated around 40,000 metric tons of rice and medicines of 100 metric ton and milk powder of 100 metric tons. And repeatedly, Honorable Finance Minister of India is being releasing already 500 million USD on line of credit for fuel and $1 billion for line of credit for food essentials. And they are the only person, India is the only country which has stood by Sri Lanka in this time. Whereas we always believe that India to Sri Lanka Nadula, there's a cultural tie, the closest neighbor, and I have to mention in this forum that Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi is how he is respected in India. He is equally respected in Sri Lanka for the humanitarian service he has taken forward in this time. And looking forward in development of this, now there's a new government which has come, a new president who has come in, and he has already been prime minister, been as a prime minister for a couple of times, and is during his premiership as a prime minister, the relationship or the international community today he has maintained a good relationship. So we hope that the relationship will continue in the coming days with Sri Lanka, and he will try to pull Sri Lanka out of this present crisis. We expect that. And based on that, there's a new parliament cabinet to be, it's already sworn in, and it's also additional cabinet to be sworn in. And we are looking forward. I don't think it's going to be difficult for Sri Lanka to come out of this crisis because the amount of the dollars, what is required, the amount of dollars what is required, and thing, it's when you see it's almost சில கண்ட்ரீஸ்ல சில கம்பெனிஸோட annual turnover தான் இருக்கு. So the only issue we have is we are running out of dollars. I think we will try to make ourselves again back to normalcy, maybe hardly in a year or two. We are working on it. Until that, till the IMF comes, the India's support to Sri Lanka will continue. That's what we all expect in Sri Lanka. And because of that support, Sri Lanka is surviving and it's coming through this hard crisis at this moment.